the CNBC Africa Ambassadors Cup. Proudly brought to you by Nedbank.
Bonjour, monsieur. Sabon.
Namaste.
Khotsontate.
Sema jambo. Habari zenyu.
Mwasuze mutya bannanga bampuliriza.
A tournament of nations. A boardroom with a view.
Beautiful scenery. And if you play good golf, it's a bonus, which it isn't for me. A few holes, yes, but...
Getting to know each other in a very comfortable environment, and I think that's what makes all the difference in the end. But I'm going to win.
A place of dialogue.
I think, there's a lot of synergy between the demographics of CNBC Africa's viewership base as well as this game. And you'll find that people from the LSMs 8, 9 and 10 are also golfers. So it's great to, meet your peer group here. You end up, spending time with good people, and golf also is, a great game.
And a sport that can be cruel at times. It can make a man of steel weak at the knees. This was the inaugural CNBC Africa Ambassadors Cup, the picturesque setting of the Pecanwood Golf and Country Club, just an hour away from the hustle and bustle of the Johannesburg CBD.
Well, it is normally said that in the office you discuss golf, but once you are on the golf course, you start discussing business.
You go for a lunch, it's a half hour of a few drinks and a bit of food, but here you see people at their best and worst, and you've got a good 4 or 5 hours with them. So I think in terms of facilitating business and moving forward, it's fantastic.
One thing for sure, most of the players were happy to be out of the office.
As you know, golf is a networking sport. So we talk a lot here. I saw prominent people here. I saw ministers here and other executives from corporate world. Of course, we're going to talk about it, and I think the good outcome will come out, especially from the South African side.
This is an excellent opportunity to network, to meet new people, to get to know people on a different level, and to build relationships. I think all business depends on good relationships, so this is a fantastic opportunity.
And on this day, representatives of various African governments convened to nurture their relationship with business.
Well, there are opportunities of meeting people, and yes, it's always good to meet ambassadors. We are in 11 countries in Africa, so we've got a large footprint, and this is an opportunity to appraise the ambassador as to what is happening. And it's a good day which has been organized by thanks to CNBC.
It was not all about putts, birdies and fairways. It was also a relaxed platform for a serious conversation. A conversation about Africa and how she relates to business. A chance to tell the African story in a changing world. Africa is the second fastest growing region in the world behind China. 72 of some of the highest ranking diplomats and influential businessmen and women on the continent were in attendance. People like Ambassador Mpoko, Zimbabwe's ambassador to South Africa, who told us about Zimbabwe's road to recovery.
Well, the road to recovery to the economy of Zimbabwe is quite good. Now our inflation is 7%, and in actual fact we're encouraging everybody, especially South African companies, to come and invest in Zimbabwe.
The former breadbasket of the SADC region is also a mineral hub of opportunities.
The opportunities you can come in joint ventures with local companies, local people, come into government, parastatals and so forth. And then you can come into mining. There's a lot of gold. We've got 20 million tons of gold reserves, 2.8 billion tons of platinum, and platinum is very expensive.
Kenya, East Africa's major economy, is very attractive for investors. A booming telecom sector and a vibrant and growing middle class has put Kenya on the radar of shrewd investors the world over.
These are exciting times for Kenya. We've just promulgated a brand new constitution that has opened up the political and economic space. We've got huge opportunities because of Vision 2030, which are flagship projects which we are farming out to the international community to come and invest in the ports, in the airport, on the seaports, economic processing zones authority, flagship projects around tourism.
Kenya, like many of its African counterparts, will be investing in infrastructure to grow its economy.
Number one must be construction. We have a huge boom because the years past, a lot of Kenyans moved to the diaspora. Now they're putting money back into their country. So we have a huge boom in construction. We also, the President Mwai Kibaki, has put a very strong emphasis on the infrastructure of the nation. So we have huge roads projects coming up. The airport I mentioned, the seaport. So that's a very, very thriving and big opportunity. Infrastructure such as IT is also a big opportunity. Of course, as you know, we have CCOM, which has come into Kenya, and I think we'll be able to have more opportunities arising out of the huge broadband capabilities we have, and that's also an opportunity. Tourism, farming, everything is up for grabs. Everything is open to any investor. We're doing this because we believe very strongly that Kenya has an opportunity to become a middle-income country by 2030. And we put together the economic, the legal framework around the Constitution. We have also put together the regulatory framework with very strong management by the Central Bank of Kenya, by the Finance Ministry of Kenya. And we believe very strongly that people will be able to take advantage and come and invest in Kenya.
The Democratic Republic of Congo was represented by the chairman of the DRC Chamber of Commerce. Terry Naweji Kankwala made a great T-shirt for his homeland.
As you know, the DRC has been in a lot of turmoil, and since the war ended, and since our first democratic elections, the president is very much focused on the reconstruction of the DRC. So everything in DRC is needed, and in every sector, infrastructure, agriculture, every sector you name it, DRC needs those emerging investment.
The DRC has seen its number of mines dwindle after the global financial meltdown and copper prices taking a knock on the stock market. But 2012 promises even better economic diversity.
In telecommunication, we are the third. We are the third in Africa. So after Nigeria, South Africa, the third one is the DRC in communication. So we well advanced in communication in DRC. I think the most one is going to be the infrastructure, because in order for you to bring the product in town or in urban area, you need road. So I think the president is going to focus more on infrastructure, road, harbour and railway line.
5 priority areas outlined by the DRC president are infrastructure, health, education, water and electricity. And power generation is where the attention is going.
We also have the biggest power generating system in the DRC, which is not working well at the moment. What I know is the government is looking for about 100 million to revamp the Inga 3, as we call it. And at the same time, the DRC with other partners, South Africa and others, they're looking to build the Inga 4. It's going to be a new power generating. They were looking about 400 million.
The DRC will also be exploiting its arable landmass by investing in agriculture. An important member of the SADC group, the DRC is largely seen as a catalyst to investment and development in the region.
In the areas of consumables, South Africa is very strong and everybody in SADC buys from South Africa. And I think there are other areas in SADC where these countries have a huge comparative advantage. If you take a country like the DRC, for instance, I'm sure that there are discussions underway to ensure that we can use the water resources in the DRC to generate the cleanest energy, I think, on planet Earth. And if we can get that right, we will be able to generate electricity, cheap and clean electricity for the whole continent, not only SADC, for the whole continent. And some people who know, who are familiar with this, say that we can even export excess electricity to Western Europe.
But it's not all about the DRC. Ambassador Francis Moloi was South Africa's High Commissioner in India for 4.5 years. According to him, the future for SADC at least is lit up with prizes for both government and business.
Zambia, I believe, that has a good agricultural land. It could certainly be the breadbasket of our region. Namibia, I believe, has oil reserves, has those resources there that can also be exploited to provide opportunities for the entire region. The oil that we can source from Luanda or from Angola, and therefore diversify our sources of energy, given the kind of challenges that other countries are experiencing in the Middle East. So we have a very rich and diversified region of SADC that we need to see how we can look at the comparative advantages of each one of us and harness this. And I can tell you, this can be the region that can provide the economic development of the entire continent.
World markets and investors are facing a bleak financial outlook, with traditional markets of Europe and North America in stagnation. But with Africa expecting a 7% growth rate for 2012, it seems North Atlantic troubles could be Africa's jackpot.
In the areas of mineral resources, this is one sector where we do know that our partners in developing countries, partners like China, India, and many others, are looking at our natural resources. And I think this is an area where we certainly need to focus, because these are the resources that are in demand. And I think we need to ensure that we don't only export raw material, but that we can attract foreign direct investment into these sectors, but also ensure that that foreign direct investment can play a big role in the beneficiation of our mineral resources. So I think that is one area where we have a very strong comparative advantage. And in other sectors, the autos, the green economy is a new buzzword, and I think we have huge opportunities in that regard.
Another player on the emerging markets landscape is Uganda. For decades, Uganda's economy suffered from devastating economic policies and instability, leaving Uganda as one of the world's poorest countries. But in 2008, Uganda recorded a staggering 7% growth despite the declining global markets.
Right now, there are so many economic opportunities in manufacturing, but also we shall soon have many opportunities in mining after we have carried out our assessment of the minerals that we have. But more so, we shall have extreme better opportunities in the oil sector once we have started refining, because after refining there will also be some byproducts of oil that will need manufacturers to manufacture a number of things.
The government is also incentivizing investors for their faith in the country.
We have many incentives. We have a write-up on those incentives in a booklet called How to Invest in Uganda, produced by the Uganda Investment Authority. But otherwise, we have so many exemptions on many of the inputs that come from abroad.
Uganda's geographical position bordering the DRC and Kenya makes it a force for investors.
The manufacturing, followed by mining, and I believe the oil sector will overtake all those.
SADC's biggest economy was well represented at the Gulf Day. Former Minister and now Parliamentary Councillor for the Presidency, Sphiwe Nyanda, told of the government's key priority areas.
We've got serious unemployment in the country, and obviously business people bring business opportunities, and those business opportunities bring with them opportunities for employment, which is, as I said, the greatest problem we have in the country. And of course we want to grow our economy and grow our economy very fast and grow it in a big way. And every opportunity that affords itself for that to happen is very welcome to all politicians in South Africa.
The General was flanked by his comrade and four-ball partner, Ambassador Mo Sheikh.
The government has just released its National Development Plan, and within the National Development Plan, infrastructure development is a key issue. And infrastructure, not only on physical infrastructure, but economic infrastructure issues as well. Building state capacity. So, in a sense, these occasions are where we promote the singular message of government to invite the business community to invest domestically in infrastructure development here and in Africa, so we could connect the markets of Africa.
And Ambassador Sheikh sees these golfing platforms as important to Africa's relationship with big business.
From the South African government side, we encourage many of the African ambassadors here to meet with big investment houses or with companies, so that they would know what are the opportunities that exist both in the country and outside the country. It's also a forum where we network and get to know one another, and so that we could rely on these relationships when in fact we need to promote business investment either in the country or in Africa.
After the break, we look at the continent's growth prospects and hear from big business about their Africa projection and expansion.